ANGI Homeservices is a 4 billion market cap company, and it is the owner of HomeAdvisor, the largest home services marketplace in the US. The company benefits from the fact that still above 80% of the home services demands are met offline via word of mouth. This constitutes a multi-year tailwind for ANGI, which should be able to capitalize on this trend. However, the company has recently had problems with performance advertising and even SEO, which has dramatically increased the fear of Google. The stock cratered and the valuation is near the likes of Yelp or TripAdvisor, which face fierce Google competition. However, unlike these businesses, HomeAdvisor is a much more defendable business with higher complexity service requests and subscription-paying contractors. Additionally, the company is transitioning to being an on-demand platform as opposed to lead generation. This dramatically changes HomeAdvisor's business. It goes from being a provider of leads, which has been a major pain point for contractors, to offering actual jobs. This brings the business closer to gig economy type businesses like Uber, Lyft, or Takeaway than review websites. ANGI Homeservices is a leader of its industry and is led by IAC, one of the most capable operators with online companies. However, despite its many qualities, ANGI is still an ignored, controlled company. The company is controlled by IAC with its 84% ownership of the total float, and the company has little visibility. They don't even host an independent conference call or have their own IR presentation. On top of this, the company is in the shadow of its wildly successful brother Match Group. With this video, I'll try to explain how execution in fixed price services, loyalty improvements, and the short pressure relief from the Match full spin should set ANGI Homeservices as a dominant platform with years of growth ahead. ANGI Homeservices consists of various businesses, the main of which is HomeAdvisor, formerly called ServiceMagic, which is the biggest home services marketplace in the US. How does HomeAdvisor work? You submit a service request on the platform and you receive up to 4 calls from local contractors. HomeAdvisor collects a fee for each lead it provides to these contractors. Additionally, these contractors also pay for the full year subscription and other services inside the platform. The equivalent take rate of the lead is around 4% of the GMV. Why is this so small? Well, home services can be big and complex, varying greatly in price. This is why there is a limit to the price you can charge for a lead if a specific job is not standardized. The second biggest company under the ANGI umbrella is Angie's List. Angie's List was the original listed company before the merger. After years of growth but still not profitability, Angie's loyalty rates, partly because of HomeAdvisor, significantly lowered and the stock cratered. IAC saw an opportunity and offered $500 million, less than 2 times revenue for the company, and conducted a reverse merger with their subsidiary HomeAdvisor, although admittedly HomeAdvisor was unprepared to go public at the moment. Since the merger, ANGI's monetization has been de-emphasized, and in place, its references to HomeAdvisor have increased. The third company inside ANGI is Handy, which was a fixed-price home services startup that was acquired in 2018. Then you have small international businesses like Homestars in Canada, MyHammer in Germany, MyBuilder in England, Instapro in Italy, or Travel.com in France, and others. Finally, ANGI has a set of other businesses like Fixed, a front door type home warranty business they acquired recently, Felix, which they sold, and mHelpDesk, which is a small software company. So why is home services attractive? First of all, there is a natural trend for on-demand, frictionless services that applies to this category. In addition, the demographics are very attractive. A significant portion of millennials have still not purchased their first home, which has created a pent-up demand for homes and by extension home services. Besides that, a home advisor type platform is a two-sided network which tend to be flywheel type businesses once they get to a certain point. The more demand you have, the more supply you attract, and the other way around. ANGI Homeservices is the biggest player in this attractive industry, an industry that despite having many startups hasn't been flooded with VC, mega cap money. Obviously, there are a lot of VCs in the space, but this is far from delivery or ride sharing, for example. The market is hyper-local, meaning that there is a very finite distance a plumber will drive to get a job, so each market stands on its own. 2/3 of the requests are non-discretionary, which offers protection against economic cycle downturns. As mentioned, 80+% of transactions are still carried out offline, a penetration that is well below travel or other verticals. And equally, contractors are still skeptical about online platforms. So, with these ingredients, there are reasons to think that there is a mid-double-digit demand growth for online home services for some years, pushed by the offline to online transition. As one could imagine, home services sector is extremely fragmented, small, and many of the participants don't have great digital skills. There are different companies in some of the corners of the market. For example, Front Door provides home warranty services, and the British HomeServe provides with both warranty and on-demand services. Finally, First Service Brands also offers franchising for certain verticals. On the VC front, there are a lot of startups in the industry. There is no clear winner, although one could say ANGI Thumbtack is the biggest startup. The dynamics are so that creating a home services app is very much doable. However, there hasn't been any reaching real scale. That aspect is reminiscent of the pre-Tinder years in online dating. The guy that developed Plenty of Fish, for example, created the app in his bedroom as a side job and scaled it to a big size with little outside capital. If you go to ANGI's subsidiary in Germany, which is actually a public company, My Hammer Holdings, you could see how financially efficient these companies are, with 20+% free cash flow margins and tiny balance sheets. One of the reasons these companies haven't scaled is that contractors often hate them. If you search for Home Advisor on YouTube, it's easy to find Home Advisor is a fraud type of videos. However, one must bear in mind that these type of dynamics are common for marketplaces. For example, hotels absolutely hate Booking, which has not prevented Priceline from being a tremendous compounding story. Two opposed dynamics are in play. Contractors would prefer to create their own brand and have organic traffic by means of Facebook and Google ad campaigns or Service Titan type of software. While on the other hand, consumers would prefer having a transparent platform that integrated all the service providers so they could get the best value. This tension from both philosophies should not pose an existential risk for ANGI. In addition, compared to Booking, ANGI has several advantages in this battle. The service requests are more complex and have more variables and involve much more friction. This prevents Google from offering a comparable search process. Besides that, contractors are small, fragmented, and often lack good digital skills, which would be more common in the travel industry. This fragmented and complex nature of this area has made home services more difficult for Google to crack, even in the current state of the business, which is mainly lead gen based. However, the lead gen model has its limits. First of all, contractors don't like it, and many feel ripped off by a company that sells them leads instead of getting the job without paying. On the other hand, the process of deciding on a job involves a lot of hassle on the request side. You have to listen to 3 calls from contractors which are trying to sell you their product, and that involves a lot of friction. Then on the demand side, 40% of the service requests go unanswered, which means that beyond the demand side hassle, the current lead gen business is not attractive enough for the contractors to service a bigger share of the requests. On top of that, the take rate is 4%, which is what one could expect if you are this far from the final transaction. And finally, due to the business model similarities, Google is a real threat of the business in its current form, and at the end of the day, a lead is a lead, and if Google improves the home services search process, that goes directly against ANGI. So what's the solution for this? ANGI has been working for some years in fixed price offerings. That's a business model where the customer as well as the lead process can choose a buy it now option with a given fixed price for the service. This transaction is processed inside HomeAdvisor, and the contractor receives a job request and not a lead. As mentioned, this transaction is not new, but has accelerated in the last year. On October 2019, ANGI purchased Handy, a startup that offered fixed-price home services for house cleaning and others. The startup obviously was not free cash flow positive, but it did, in a way, crack fixed price for certain services. In July 2019, Ocean Hanrahan, which was the founder of Handy, was named Chief Product Officer at ANGI, which kind of remarks how relevant fixed price services is inside the company. In addition, by fiscal third quarter 2018, the company went from having just 33 of the 500 HomeAdvisor tasks offered as fixed price to having 133 in the third quarter. At this point, fixed price services consist of around 5% of ANGI's revenue, and overall, on-demand services are just above 10% of total revenue, which cover Instant Connect and Instant Book as well as fixed price. Currently, these fixed price services are money losing and are dragging the P&L. Just to give an example, at ANGI they have to manually call a contractor to service the fixed price request. This shows how fixed price is still in an investment phase, since, for example, for the lead gen process, the company has a proprietary phone call algorithm. It wouldn't be unreasonable to think that ANGI will end up cracking fixed price, automating the process and extracting significant margins. This business model transition would attract more people to the app instead of the web, improving the loyalty rates. Equally, HomeAdvisor's main pain point, that is that only gives leads, would be solved on the contractor side. In 2019, ANGI will attract $46 billion in requested GMV, $28 billion of which go serviced on the platform for a 5% average take rate. The 40% unserved demand is a common talk point at ANGI. This reflects that getting the job is still not efficient enough. However, you should not get ahead of yourself, as there is a limit to the number of job requests that can get serviced. The marketplace obviously needs some demand slack. But this kind of reflects the existing runway on better meeting the demand already in the platform. The other hot topic is the take rate. It's important to reflect on how take rates work. Platforms with very standardized, repetitive jobs often have big take rates. If the task is big, complex, and the platform is farther away from the transaction, the take rate has to be lower. So the bigger part of revenue fixed price becomes, the overall take rate goes up, as the model removes the friction from the process and standardizes the jobs. The company has revealed that current take rate for fixed price is at the mid-teens, which by itself offers significant upside to the current take rate. However, if you look at companies like Fiverr or Lyft, you can easily see this take rate going above 20% for certain kind of jobs. So from this explanation, one can start understanding the real scale of ANGI. This 4 billion market cap company attracts around 46 billion in service requests. Normally, companies with this kind of reach are very highly valued in the market. Look at Shopify, implying that there is the potential of internalizing a bigger part of their current reach. Just as a thought exercise, Frontdoor is also a 4 billion market cap company, and they have a similar revenue of around 1.4 billion for this year. I know, it's a different business, but if you look at Frontdoor's revenue, this should be comparable to ANGI's serviced GMV, which shows how two companies with similar revenue and market cap actually can widely differ in their total influence. Therefore, it will be a matter of execution that ANGI can take a bigger slice of the total GMV it touches. Luckily, ANGI is run by one of the savviest digital operators, IAC. As with other IAC franchises, ANGI is a product of buy, build, and spin, the same way that LendingTree has been able to grow with a multitude of acquisition, and Match Group has done equally in the online dating space. One would expect ANGI to continue purchasing the blank spaces across digital home services sector, while also internally developing many of its variations. However, being an IAC controlled company does have a catch. HomeAdvisor being public has been often regarded as premature and only occurred due to the Angie's List merger coming up. Even today, one could say that the company is not a full grown-up. They don't have their own IR or even a quarterly slide deck. They don't report many typical marketplace metrics: GMV, take rate, LTV to CAC. Also, selling and marketing is still a huge part of the P&L. Obviously, it's a controlled company. IAC owns 84% of the float. And beyond that, a significant portion of the free float is short due to arbitrage reasons. You can look how lots of people are short ANGI so they can get long Match and also gain exposure to the IAC stock. This situation is so that ANGI has kind of become the forgotten stock in the shadow of a wildly successful Match Group. However, Match Group full spin is getting very close, so potentially there may be some short selling relief at ANGI. So, as one approaches valuing ANGI, the gigantic selling and marketing line stands out in the P&L. This doesn't speak very well about the ad dollar efficiency or the loyalty of the supply and demand. This is no Zoom Inc. If you go to public TV ad spend data, you can see that HomeAdvisor outspends many larger internet companies. In fact, the marketing expense is much more demand-centered at around 36% versus only 19% for the supply-side retention. One would think that this spend could trend much lower, as fixed price is still a small amount of total revenue, and even the app-driven requests are a small number of the overall requests. These natural transitions should help increase ad dollar efficiency. If you look at a comparable company like Booking, they are heavily SEM-based company and still they only spend around 1/3 of revenue in advertising, organic being below 30% figure. ANGI's organic traffic is around 60%, and then 20% is SEO, and then 20% is SEM. So I expect this efficiency to be helped by demographic trends as younger users prefer to use the app versus the web. In fact, HomeAdvisor is planning to add Uber-like features in the app, so that attracts a lot more usage which in turn has much better retention. Additionally, HomeAdvisor is still a low-frequency usage platform. Actually, each person only uses the app 1.8 times per year, up from 1.6 times in the past. There is a potential increase of up to 8 times a year in usage frequency. Beyond this, ANGI is also looking for partnerships with companies like Nextdoor and Realgy, which will help bringing down demand acquisition costs. Modeling ANGI is complex. You have to predict the requested GMV, how much of it is serviced, the fixed price total share, the take rate, and the selling and marketing leverage in the future. You can dial these knobs many ways, but overall, competent execution, especially around fixed price and the app, should yield very attractive returns. What are the risks here? Obviously, Google is and even the real competitor. Normally, companies that compete with Google get totally massacred. Also, ANGI's markets are hyperlocal, so well-funded competitors could win over ANGI one market at a time. Furthermore, fixed price is only around 5% of revenue and money losing. ANGI's success depends greatly on the success of this new initiative. Beyond that, contractors still don't love ANGI, and many online reviews are terrible. However, this is a shared issue in the industry. Besides this, one of ANGI's greatest qualities is its largest requested GMV. However, there is a reason for this, and there is a limit to the take rate you can charge. And finally, that 40% unmet demand is not entirely serviceable, as the platform obviously needs some demand slack to work. On the bright side, 2/3 of ANGI's demand are non-discretionary, and the other part is repair and remodel, which is not entirely cyclical. Beyond that, if the current job market loosens, it will attract more supply to a platform that is currently gated by supply. Besides this, if the fixed price transformation is achieved, ANGI's margins could go above 35% EBITDA to a more food delivery type margins. Finally, a possible VC winter should ease the way for ANGI in terms of ad marketing dollars and contractor retention. All in all, with the stock around 7.8 or 7.9 a share, the risk reward seems quite attractive.